Hello everyone, I'm Dan Filgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of February 6th, 7th, and 8th. On today's show, Herb Sklar will talk about still life photography, and we'll look back on the best stories from this week on the Shell Point Today program. But first, we want to remind you that Saturday is the outing to ArtFest Fort Myers. It's Florida's premier art festival, held each February along the historic waterfront in downtown Fort Myers. This is a juried show with only very high-quality artists and craftspeople displaying their beautiful American handcrafted treasures. My wife and I have been to this show several times in past years, folks, and it is superb, the best we've ever seen. There is just some spectacular art to be seen. There are food vendors with many choices available. Now do be aware that there is a lot of walking, standing, and crowd maneuvering involved for this trip. Cost is $8 with lunch on your own. Island pickups start at 9:15 a.m. and approximate return time will be 2:20. Saturday evening is the time for stargazing with the Shell Point Astronomy Group. Pickups start on the island at 6:15 p.m. to go out to the golf course parking lot, where the group will be joined by the Southwest Florida Astronomical Society. Various telescopes will be set up to give you the opportunity to gaze at Jupiter, Venus, Mars, the Orion Nebula, and more. The astronomy buffs will be happy to answer any questions you may have. So come on out and marvel at the beauty and mystery of the night sky. Herb Sklar has been a big part of the Shell Point Photo Club, and he has been generously sharing his deep knowledge of photography and art in the club and in the many academy classes he teaches. The beautiful new photo studio and gallery, recently opened in the Island Tunnel, is a wonderful new center for learning, doing, and showing great photography. Herb is keen on something the studio is now specially equipped to help you do: still life photography. He has an academy class lined up for next Monday and the Monday after to help you learn all the techniques. Here is a preview.
Hello, I'm Terry Kolath, and I'm here today with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve. We're talking about the good news of the Shell Point Photo Studio and the ability to hold classes there now. Thank you for joining me, Herb.
You're welcome.
So you got a photo studio, it's up and running, and you're going to start with the art of still life photography. Why?
Why? Okay. My personal belief, still life photography is probably the most creative form of photography, and I'll tell you why. You walk along and you see a bird and you say, oh, I'm going to take that, it's a great picture, and the lighting is terrific. You move the camera, you get the right composition, and you take this wonderful, beautiful picture. Terrific. Now, go to still life photography. There's a table. There's no thing on that table. You have to have the concept. You have to have the idea of what you're going to do, how you're going to put the elements on the table, how you're going to compose it, how you're going to light it. You're starting with zero. So it is, in my opinion, again, the most creative form of photography. And if you take this class, but you necessarily don't like doing still lifes, it's still going to help you and train you to do better design, better composition of your own work. And we could do this now because of the facilities that Shell Point built for us in the studio. We have a professional still life table. The photo club has collected different props. People have donated things they thought would be nice, and there's plenty of props to work for. You just have to bring your own camera, and I'll run a couple of PowerPoint lectures explaining it, and I'll demonstrate, and then you're going to be on your own, but I'll be there to kind of watch.
What's the skill level you need to bring to this course?
Oh, you have to know how to use your camera.
Okay.
Let's say, and you know, most people who are interested in photography have a basic talent of doing composition. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. So it'll come pretty good and quick for them.
And what's the value of doing something like this? You've explained to us that it's skills that transcend the still life photograph.
Oh, definitely.
But what will people do? What will they be able to do afterwards? Will they be able to use that table and do some of their own? Oh,
absolutely. Oh, sure. Sure, on scheduled free times, yes, they can. But you remember, still life goes back to way back in art when they did these incredible, complex paintings of tabletop pheasants and cloths and food and whatnot. So this is like an old art revised with photography.
That's so exciting. So exciting. Now, do you do still life photography yourself?
I certainly do, yes.
And have you used your new table?
I have. I'm in the process of doing a series of photos now, which I don't want to tell you too much about because I want to surprise you when we're ready. Nice. And it's coming out really well, and I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
So great. So bring your camera, your knowledge of your camera, your desire to learn more about composition, and challenge yourself in this course.
Absolutely.
Sounds wonderful. So want to take a chance? It's got to be a small little class because you're going to get special instruction and care from Herb Sklar in the photo studio 2 Mondays, February 9 and 16.
Coming up, we're going to replay some of our best stories from this week on Shell Point Today. But before we do that, let's cover all of the weekend's happenings, menus, and church news.
Hi everybody, it's the weekend edition of Shell Point's Happenings segment. I'm Bev Chandley and this is Caitlin Van Scoy, and we're going to tell you what's happening here Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to start out Friday at 8 o'clock with the men's match play doubles tennis at the Woodlands Tennis Courts. The stamp ministry will be in the stamp room down in the tunnel at 8:15. Our Friday marketplace will be in Administration Courtyard from 8:30 to 11:30. Canasta and Samba will be played in the second floor of the Woodland Commons at 9 o'clock. 10 o'clock we have the men's match play doubles tennis. 10:15 is the time for the inquiring minds to gather in the Manatee Room. And our Suzuki boat heads out to Marker 92 for lunch. Sign-ups required, and that leaves at 10:30. The afternoon starts with a 12:30 mixed progressive bridge game. That's in the game room of the Woodlands. The diabetes group appointment will be in the social center at 1 o'clock. Also at 1 o'clock, we have a Health Connections dry eye update. That's in the community room of the Arbor. You do need to sign up for that one. Advanced table tennis will be in the Tarpon room at 1:15, and that table tennis is available all weekend unless it's otherwise posted. Also at 1:15, the quilters will be in the Osprey room. Our model train room will be open from 1:30 to 3:30 for tours. Also at 1:30, we have Vespers. That's at the community room of the Arbor. Bid Euchre will be in the Sable room at 2 o'clock. And at 2:15, we have water volleyball. That's at the Life Quest Aquatic Center. Latin size will be down in the Health Club at 2:30. And we also have a 2:30 Vespers in the community room of King's Crown. And we have at 3:30 our last Vespers at the Springs. At 4 o'clock, you'll find pickleball at the pickleball court. 6:45 is the time for game night at the Resident Activities Center. Samba players start at 6:30. Here's Caitlin with your Saturday lineup.
Thank you, Bev. We start Saturday morning off with 8 a.m. pickleball, the pickleball courts. And 8 a.m. is also the time for round robin tennis, and all levels can drop in at the Woodlands tennis courts. 9:15 is the Art Fest Fort Myers 2015. That'll be a trip, and the court pickups start at 9:15 on the island, 9:25 Woodlands, and 9:35 Eagles Preserve and Estuary. You do need to sign up for that trip. 9:30 we have men's and women's doubles tennis at the Woodlands tennis courts. At 9:45 we have duplicate bridge in the Manatee Room on the island, and the play will be supervised. At 10 a.m. we have a Health Connections class, Mirror Image Fitness. Here's looking at you in the health club, and you do need to sign up for that. At 10:15 the Model Yacht Sailing Club will be at the Garden Apartment Pond on the island. And then we move to our afternoon for 1 p.m. chess in the Library Lounge of the Resident Activity Center. At 1:15 we have Scrabble being played in the Library Lounge. And 1:15 is also the time for table tennis in the Tarpon Room down in the Island Tunnel. We have basic line dancing held in the Health Club at 3:15. From 7 to 9, we have a special program, An Evening Under the Stars. It's a stargazing party at the golf course. Pickups begin at 6:15 on the island, 6:25 Woodlands, and 6:35 Eagles Preserve and Estuary. And you do need to sign up for that. We have duplicate bridge being played at 6:30 in the Manatee Room on the island, and you do need to arrive by 6:15. Here's Bev for our Sunday activities.
Thank you, Caitlin. At 9 o'clock, we have Christian Life Studies in the game room of the Woodlands and at the Village Church. Then we move to our morning worship service at the Village Church at 10:15, and that is also broadcast live on ShellPoint TV Channel 13. We're going to jump all the way to 4:15, where you'll find ballroom line dancing for beginners in the Health Club. And then we have a 6:15 evening service at the Village Church. Well, we wish you all a really wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back here next week.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Friday and the weekend. At 10 o'clock, we have our weekly Apple, iPad, or iPhone walk-in clinic in the Teaching Center in the Tunnel on the Island. Everyone is welcome to come in with their iPad or their iPhone and their question. At 10:15, Margaret Thatcher will be presented in the Social Center of the Island, and sign-up is required. I'd like to tell you what we have coming up next week. On Monday, The Art of the Still Life with Herb Sklar of Eagles Preserve, and a T3 class, iPhones, Messages, and Email Apps with Bruce Findlay of Sundial. On Tuesday, we have the second session of the History of the Middle East to Present Times with Professor Adrian Keir. We also have How to Organize Your Computer Files and Start Shredding with L. Kaplan of Oakmont, an HDTV class with the iPad by Bruce Findlay of Sundial. On Wednesday, we have our second Coffee with a Neighbor for the semester. This time it's Animal Behavior in Africa with Dr. Gerald Langberg of Sundial. And then on Friday, Academy on the Go travels to Sarasota to the Marine Selby Botanical Gardens, and this includes a Clyde Butcher photo exhibit. We also have Quicken on the computer with Terry Schultz of Sundial.
Menus for Friday, February 6th. In the Crystal Room, the platter is linguine and clams with garlic bread and seasoned spinach. For dinner, it's the seafood buffet for $15.95. The soup is pasta fagioli. In the Island Cafe on Friday, lunch is a fish sandwich with coleslaw and fries for $7.25, and dinner is chef's choice for $8.25. On Friday in the Palm Grill, you can enjoy lamb chops for $22.95 or sirloin steak au poivre for $16.95. On Saturday, the Crystal Room is closed. The Island Cafe for lunch has a mile-high corned beef sandwich with coleslaw for $7.25, and at dinner they have a Mediterranean lamb kebab with mixed vegetables for $8.25. On Saturday, the Palm Grill, as usual, has prime rib for $19.95. On Sunday, the Crystal Room has its Sunday brunch for $17.50. For lunch, the Island Cafe has a ham, egg, and cheese English muffin with fresh fruit for $7.25, or dinner is chef's choice at $8.25. The Palm Grill is closed on Sundays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Randy Woods. And we're looking ahead to the weekend, aren't we?
Yes, here it is.
And obviously, Sundays are always special.
Yeah.
We always talk about that.
This one is exceptional, the second Sunday of February.
That's right, because it is what we're calling Celebration Sunday. Almost exactly a year after the first Celebration Sunday, in which we sort of kicked off the Refresh and Renew project. So now we've been after it for a year, and the sanctuary has gone through its renovation, and we're gathering once again to celebrate what God has done. And in addition to the normal special things, because I think anytime you're in the presence of the Lord for worship is special, we certainly have some unique ways of celebrating this particular occasion, and a lot of it has to do with music. So tell us a little bit about what's going to happen here.
Well, it is a grand celebration. We had the privilege this week, as the choir sings each and every Sunday. This week, they'll be accompanied by brass players from the Southwest Florida Symphony, along with timpani, we'll have percussion, piano, and then a guest organist, Claire Fossey, is going to be playing as well. Many have heard Claire play. She's played the recent service of Lessons and Carols at Christmas, but is one of the best organists in our area, and we so much enjoy her ministry at the keyboard. So Claire will be playing, accompanying the choir. We'll be singing a very festive settings for an occasion like this, starting with Because He Lives, as well as the favorite anthem by Karen Lee Scott that our congregation actually used a year ago, entitled, Have You Not Known, Have You Not Heard? They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Indeed. And so the celebration is all about refresh and renew, and that's the work that the Lord does in and through us. So we'll be singing that, and then a brand new anthem by Alan Poe, the contemporary writer, said, "Behold, I make all things new." So the music will sparkle with fanfare and flourish as the brass, the percussion, the organ, the piano all join together with the voices of the choir, and opportunities for the choir and congregation to sing together.
Absolutely. And of course, we'll be highlighting in the message the goodness of God and the providence of God in providing for all of our needs. And it helps us not only to recognize what He's done in a situation like this, but gives us confident hope for the future. And so we'll be celebrating all of that.
It'll be a wonderful morning of celebration. And then I know as well in the evening, the morning service at 10:15, and the evening at 6:15 is the annual meeting. But this is not just a routine meeting, is it?
No, of course, I don't really want any meeting to be routine, but certainly this is an opportunity to continue the celebration from the morning, recognize what God has done, but also what God has done in ministry. It's one of our annual meeting for reports, and so we read about those things, but we're going to have some testimonies of what God has done in various dimensions of ministry in the Village Church, because we always need to be reminded that the church is not a building, it's the people in it, and there's ministry to be done, and God has been faithful to provide for that ministry all the way through the year. Remember that refresh and renew, the renew part of that was to renew our spirits as we went through this process. And so I think it's going to be an enjoyable time to celebrate what God has done. And there's going to be an opportunity for fellowship, I understand, following that service.
That's what I understand. Of course, we have wonderful people, the message, the celebration, and to make the day complete, there'll be refreshments afterwards for time of fellowship, interaction one with another, as we continue to celebrate God's goodness.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to it, as we always do, but with a special sense of expectation for this coming weekend. So we hope that you'll join us this coming weekend for the morning service at 10:15 and for the evening annual meeting, which is a celebration of what God has done at 6:15 with a fellowship time with refreshments following. So join us. Hope to see you soon.
And now it's time to look back at stories from this week on Shell Point Today. We have a new resort services and wellness manager, and her new boss, Dawn Boren, introduced us while taking the opportunity to give a rundown on what the Resident Life team is all about.
Hi, I'm Dawn Boren, Director of Resident Life at Shell Point. Today I'd like to talk to you about what is Resident Life. Resident Life has 4 components. I have Robin Church, who oversees the 3 salon and spas. Terry Colath oversees the Academy of Lifelong Learning and the Pavilion Auxiliary. Diane Morton is our Transportation and Resource Manager, and she also oversees the thrift store. Today I am able to introduce to you our new Resort Services and Wellness Manager. Heather Batty joins me today in her new role as the Resort Services and Wellness Manager here at Shell Point. Heather, welcome.
Thank you, Dawn. I'm so excited to be here and work with such a fabulous team.
Well, Heather, I tell you, when I was interviewing, of course, it was tough to replace Mary Franklin. She was well loved, but I just talked to her the other day, and I know the residents will be happy to know that she is doing well and fine in her new position. But as I interviewed, I was fortunate enough to have really 2 strong candidates, and you definitely led the way. You have 17 years of background in the area of recreation programming and wellness directly related to seniors. Your last job was at a CCRC, just like Shell Point. Your job prior to that was a program director at a YMCA. And prior to that, you had a successful business for 10 years, of which you did event planning, fitness programs, and you did that for communities of residents who are 55 and older. So you know this population.
Absolutely.
And you, during the interview process, had 3 or 4 different times that I was able to invite you back to Shell Point. And tell me what your thoughts were when you joined the campus and walked around and met some of the staff and residents.
Sure. Well, when I first actually moved to Fort Myers, I knew that I wanted to work at Shell Point. As soon as I started researching and looking into retirement communities, Shell Point was at the top, of course. And when I actually was able to come on the campus, it only just really kept my interest even going more, because the family environment, the friendliness, not to mention it's beautiful and lovely. And then when I was able to interview with you, you also, Dawn, were able to really express how much you love working here and how long, the longevity here of not only the employees but also the residents. So it really was able to, for me, really those last kind of reasons why I wanted to be here at Shell Point.
I could definitely tell in our interview it was more than a job that you were looking for. You were looking for that connection, that higher purpose of service, and in an environment where people supported one another. And I could really tell in talking with you that you were going to make a really good fit here at Shell Point. You had an opportunity to meet almost all of your team members.
Right.
And I think you got a really good feel of who they are and how well they work together.
Yes. Well, I can definitely credit Mary. They're a wonderful team. Obviously, you too for in interviewing them and hiring them. It's great to come into a situation where everything is run like this well-oiled machine. They work beautifully together. They're all very accepting, but also full of the knowledge that I need to fulfill the position. So I look forward to really getting to know them all better and working with them and support them as much as I can. It's great to come in and not have anything broken. Everything is working wonderfully. So I'm excited about that as well.
Well, you definitely have 10 strong staff, and the areas that you're going to be concentrating for the residents who may not know, the Resort Services and Wellness Department actually oversees internal programs that are in the happenings section of the Shell Point Life, trips, both locally and extended, all your fitness and wellness programs, your special events and annual programs, your service coordinator and all the concierge services that come from that area, Phil in the wood shop, and our Captain Jim, and overseeing all the recreation amenities. And Heather is also going to be responsible for the Health Connection, which is all the programs related to your physical health and wellness, and helping with LifeQuest and some of those special events.
Exactly.
And you had a philosophy in wellness that was very conducive to our culture here.
Right, exactly. When coming from another retirement community, which was very difficult, it was hard to leave my residence there, but we came for a really nice reason. My father got ill, but he's doing much better now. But at that point, we decided to move closer so we could help take care of my family. It was difficult to leave residence because with that philosophy of becoming a family and serving and to make sure they're satisfied, I wanted to make sure the next person that came on board would be able to do that as well. But the residents there filled my heart because they said that they were very proud of me for going to help my parents. So being able to come here with that same philosophy of serving and satisfying the residents here kind of makes it feel already like home and that it's a place that I belong. Right. And with the faith of my family and me, my father's doing much better. And as you know, since we've been here, my brother has been injured in a motorcycle accident, which has left him paralyzed. So I do believe that my journey and my path has brought me here to experience his new tiny miracles as he gets better through his journey. So with all that, I really do think that steps and things are in place and they happen for a reason.
And I definitely believe that you're a gift to Shell Point, and I look for a long-term, relationship with you as a Resort Services and Wellness Manager. And I invite any of the residents to stop by Heather's office located in the Resident Activity Center. She's already making her way around campus, meeting all of the residents, and so please stop by and say hello and have a great day.
Along with new employees and new folks moving into the estuary, Shell Point has some other new residents that you should be aware of. Director of Project Development, Bob Southern, told us a bit about these new neighbors.
Hi, this is Bob Southern, Project Director for the Shell Point Retirement Community. I was recently out here on the estuary site at night and happened to see a coyote running by. And I'm sure most of you have heard that they have certainly moved into our part of the state. So I thought that we would talk a little bit about coyotes today, just to make sure that everybody is aware that they are around us. It's something new for us, and we need to be aware that they're out there and comfortable with dealing with them to the extent that we can be. Florida first saw coyotes come into the state about 50 years ago. They came in somewhat naturally, and some of them were brought in by hunters and spread throughout the state from that point, the northern parts of Florida, and have been breeding and heading south since then. They are here to stay from what everybody says, and they're not a big threat, but we need to understand more about them. The interesting thing about coyotes is that they will eat just about anything, from virtually every kind of critter they can catch that's not too big for them to catch and eat, down to berries and seeds and fruit. They will eat out of garbage cans. They are omnivores, and there seems to be little or nothing that's not on their menu, including small pets, as you may have heard in the past. Coyotes typically hunt alone or maybe in pairs, rarely in packs. They have on average 6 pups in the spring. Most of them are raised fairly successfully. They are kind of naturally controlling. If the food is abundant, they have more pups. If food is in short supply, their litters are smaller. So they have litters based on how well they can care for them once they're born. Coyotes are most active at dawn and dusk. That's when you would likely see one. That's when you may likely encounter one. That's not to say you may not see them in the dark at night or sometime during the day. Probably more likely to see them after dark. But dusk and dawn is a time when you should be most alert for them, particularly if that's when you go out walking your dog. If you've got a small dog, then you want to be careful about that, and maybe that's not the best time of the day to walk your dog. Coyotes do carry the same kind of diseases that many canines and mammals do. They can be rabid. So if you see a coyote acting strangely, it's probably ill. If you see them out at odd times of day walking through crowded areas or through areas you would not expect to see them, they're probably ill, and that's when you would want to call the authorities and certainly bring your pets and yourself in. They are not threats to people typically. Rare, from what I have read, I don't think there's been an attack in Florida by a coyote. But if, like any mammal, if it is sick, if it's rabid, all that typical baseline knowledge is off the table. Anything could happen. So if you are around and you see a coyote and it's in your vicinity, best to turn around and go home and pick up your pet and go home quickly. Now, if you are in an unfortunate circumstance where a coyote is coming after your pet, you need to be very careful with that, because if you try to pick up the pet when the coyote is coming to attack, you may get in the middle of it and actually get bit yourself. So you've got to make that call when you see that going on, or that possibility. Can you pick up your pet and get it to safety before the coyote gets there? If you don't see the coyote until it's in the middle of it, then it's probably too late. At this point, there's not much data that shows that coyotes have been a significant impact to the ecological system of Florida. They are certainly here, but unlike some other critters or plants, they're not having, at least at this point, a huge impact. Now they are blatant lawbreakers when it comes to the Endangered Species Act, so they don't understand that some species are protected and shouldn't be molested or eaten. So they will have an impact on species that maybe are struggling and aren't as abundant as others. So from that respect, they can be a problem. So to wrap up this little piece, I would say that coyotes are, I think, going to be a part of our future here in Florida. From what I've read, I don't think there's much you can do about it as far as control or eradication. They may become fairly common, but bobcats are fairly common too. You don't see them much, and they're not much of a problem. They are something you need to be aware of, and if you see a coyote from a distance and it's just walking by, I'd say just consider it to be a lucky viewing of an interesting animal. If it's anywhere close or you've got pets, then you want to be aware of the situation like you would with any predator. So I wouldn't become overly concerned about coyotes. I don't know that that they're going to become any kind of a big problem at Shell Point. Just that when I saw one here at the estuary, I thought it was a good time to bring the subject up and make sure everybody's aware that we have new residents in Florida.
Ruth Duber welcomed Dee Dee Darcy into her kitchen this week to prepare a different take on pork tenderloin.
Hello, I'm Ruth Duber, and this is What's Cooking at Shell Point, and I have my very good friend Dee Dee Darcy with me today. We just love to cook together, and you know, we've done a few shows where we've done some demonstrations and so forth. But Dee Dee is with me here today with a new recipe that she introduced me to. It's called peach mustard glazed pork tenderloin.
This is a pork tenderloin that Ruth has already trimmed and gotten it all nice and ready to season. And just following the directions, we just put a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, but you know what? I don't measure salt or pepper. I just put a little in my hand.
Do whatever you want, Dee Dee.
I put a little in my hand and just kind of sprinkle it and flip it over. That's about a 1/4 teaspoon. And then I'm always a little generous with the pepper. It calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Then I'm going to cook it in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. A tablespoon of olive oil. That's about a tablespoon. And it says to go ahead and cook it in the hot oil for 3 to 4 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to melt the 1 tablespoon of butter. Melt it over medium-high heat. And then I'm going to get ready to add my shallot, saute for 2 or 3 minutes. Then I'm going to remove from heat and stir in the peach preserves and the next 3 ingredients, which would be bourbon, crushed red pepper, and Dijon mustard.
We'll talk about the bourbon while you do that.
Okay.
Why don't you mention the rest of the ingredients?
Right,
We'll show them here.
This is, it calls for coarse mustard, and I like to buy it as coarse as possible. Now you can get Grey Poupon, which is the nice yellow flavor, or yellow color. But the bigger the mustard seed, the better I like it. And there is one that, it's an off-brand, it's not Grey Poupon. There's one at Publix that has the whole, you can see the mustard seed in it. It's not hotter, it just has a little bit more texture when you put it in with the peach preserves. Shallots, you can get at the produce section. It's a form of an onion. But it's amazing how a shallot tastes just a little bit different. It's a little bit more, what do you think? It's stronger, but it's not overpowering, a shallot.
It's not bitter.
No, it's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, peach preserves. And is my skillet hot enough? For?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take my meat over. Yeah, there's that sizzle. I'm going to steal this from you. That right there is the butter and the shallots, and we're going to stir those up for 2 to 3 minutes before we add the Other ingredients?
This recipe does call for bourbon, and as I've always said before, most of the alcohol does burn away. I checked on the internet and I found that there are substitutes for any recipe that has alcohol in it. One of the things that said, because we're using a fruit, a peach, instead of the bourbon, you can use orange juice. And to add a little tartness, just a touch of Worcestershire sauce or soy sauce. And you can always use chicken broth in some of your marinades in that if you don't want to use that. There's also small bottles that you can get in the liquor store. The little ones like you find on an airplane, you can also get those. But this time, for this recipe, we are going to let the alcohol burn off. So, you ready for that?
I am. I'm going to bring my recipe over because it's too far away.
Oh, okay.
And I do measure my bourbon.
Okay.
So the shallots are pretty limp, and I'm going to add 2.5 tablespoons of bourbon. This is a 2 tablespoon measuring. 2 and a little bit. And you can hear that pork sizzling. The peach preserves. And the mustard. And I'm going to, since we're right here, I'm going to see what this brown pork looks like. And the red pepper flakes. And then I'm stirring this up, letting that peach preserve melt. Now I've made this twice, and Ruth has made this once. And I think we figured out what I did wrong both times, but it was okay to do it because it worked better the wrong way. The first time I made it, it was a dinner party, and we had a lot of people, and I forgot to put this on top of the pork when I stuck it in the oven for 20 minutes. So about 5 minutes before it was ready, I thought, should I had a V8? And I poured it over there. So we're going to wait and pour this. We're going to cook this for 10 minutes at 200. Then we're going to pour this over to prevent it from scorching.
Okay, what I'm doing now is I had a little bit of the marinade that I put in here and the chicken broth, and I'm going to just bring that to a boil. And then we'll put that on the pork and we're ready to slice it. No, that's thick enough. I'm just going to pour a little on the pork.
Yeah.
Just pour a little bit on the top. Yeah.
Just a little bit?
Yeah, not all of it. There. Okay, that's good. Okay. Now, for the test. It did cook to 145 degrees. And it should make it still a little pink in the center. Ah, that's perfect. That's wonderful. Yeah.
Take our word for it. It smells wonderful.
Yes. Wonderful flavor.
And so tender and juicy.
That's why you don't want to cook it too long.
I know. I know. Oh, that's wonderful.
Have another bite. Now I have a mouthful. How am I going to say
I'll
goodbye?
have mine for dinner.
Thank you very much. We hope you'll try this recipe. As I said, if you don't want to use the bourbon, you can use some fruit juice. But that's all for now. We'll put it up on the website. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Indeed. That was some yummy stuff. And speaking of yummy stuff, we chatted with Dining Operations Manager Greg Pindara about how you can save a lot of money on a lot of yummy stuff at Shell Point's dining venues. Hello everyone, I'm Dan Filgreen, and we're here today at the beautiful Crystal Dining Room, and I have with me Dining Operations Manager Greg Pindara, and we're here to talk about a interesting subject that I think you're going to enjoy, and that is saving money. So Greg, how can residents save money?
Well, we have the Passport Dining Plan available for them in different denominations, $250, $500, $750, and $1,000 plan. And the way it works is the higher the plan, the bigger discount you receive. If you buy the $1,000 plan, it only costs you $750.
So that's a 25% savings. That's a lot of food that you're getting for free, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and you can enjoy it and not have to worry about it.
So Greg, if a resident says, yeah, that's for me, I want to save some money, where do they get this great passport?
Well, you can get the application at the Crystal Dining Room, the Palm Grill, or the accounting office on the island.
Okay, and then now I've got my passport, and how do I use it exactly?
Well, you make sure you bring the card with you to the dining room, and when you're presented the check, you just give the server or the cashier your card, and as they ring in your purchase, it's deducted from your balance, and you get the receipt, and on your receipt, it identifies how much you have left in your plan.
Terrific. Now let's say, oh man, I left my card back on my dresser at home and I'm in the Crystal. That could be a little problem, couldn't it?
Well, it could be a little problem. We have had problems in the past where residents have transposed their address. They live in 208 and they tell us 802, or they write it down on their receipt 802, and then the wrong person gets billed, and that makes that other person very, very unhappy.
Not a real neighborly thing to do, leaving your neighbor with the bill for your meal. So when you get that passport, bring it with you, folks, and you'll enjoy using it, I'm sure.
Yes, you will. And you can come as often as you like, and again, you can use it at the Palm Grill, Island Cafe, and in the Crystal Dining Room, of course.
Okay, well, there you have it, folks. You can enjoy fabulous meals at the Crystal Dining Room, in the Palm Grill, and save money at the same time. It's the Shell Point Passport Dining Plan. Get yours today. The annual photo contest and show, sponsored by the Shell Point Photo Club, is always a great celebration of the vast array of experiences Shell Point residents have had and of their artful capturing of images to document them. If you have some photographs you think are special, this is your chance to get them out there where they can be noticed and appreciated. Dottie Morrison and John Ibbotson came by to give you all the info about this event and how you can be part of it.
Hi, I'm Dottie Morrison, and this is John Ibbotson, and we're here to talk about the 2015 Shell Point Photo Contest and Show. It's coming up really soon, isn't it, John?
That's right. The dates, of course, have all been set, and so we're looking forward to it. This is a big event for the Photo Club.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
And of course, it's open to the public, so that as far as viewing the photos at the photo show and contest, or contest and show, that they can come and throughout the period that they're on display.
Okay. Last year we had over 50 entrants, right?
Yes, and over about 270 some individual photographs that were entered into. At that point, we had 12 categories, plus the people who just displayed without being judged.
Right. So the forms, are they already available for everyone?
Yes, at the Island Service Desk. So
okay.
Anyone can pick those up now and to read through them, and so they'll be knowledgeable about how to enter and what to enter.
So what are some things we need to remind folks about as they pick up the form and as they're looking at their photos?
Well, one thing, of course, is to be sure that their photos, if they're entered into the categories other than the all-time favorites, that they meet the 2-year criteria for being taken within the last 2 years.
So, John, I guess one thing we should remind folks about is that they need to be sure that their print is nice and clear, that it's on 8x10 paper, and that it's on photo paper, not just plain ordinary paper.
And they have a choice of photo paper. They can use the gloss, semi-gloss, or matte finish, right. Whichever most appropriate for the photo that they're entering.
Right. Okay, but you want a really crisp crisp photo, or the judge is probably just going to walk right by.
That's right. In fact, this judge in some of her online comments have said that if it isn't sharp, forget it. So,
Right.
And of course, that doesn't mean that you can't use the Boke technique and get different part of the image out of focus, but you
Right.
have to have at least the focal point in focus and then in sharp focus.
Exactly. So have the categories changed this year at all?
Yes, we have eliminated two categories. The shell point activities and abstract categories have been eliminated.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a new category.
A new category is architecture. And of course, people think architecture means a building, which it can be, but there's, of course, all ages of buildings.
Right.
If you have traveled around the U.S. or in foreign countries, of course, you see ancient architecture,
Right.
and you see modern architecture sometimes adjacent to one another in those cities.
And then what's the very last date to turn in entries?
The deadline is March 7th.
And then when will people start seeing them in the activity center?
Well, the show opens on March the 30th, and there'll be kind of a preview time where people can walk through and see the photos that are present.
Mm-hmm.
But on the 31st, then the winners will be announced at the gala, and so ribbons will be posted with the winning photos after that gala, and so if you come and view after that, you'll be able to see which photos won.
Right. Okay. Well, it's going to be an exciting time. Look forward to it. And they can call either you, John Ippenson, or me, Dottie Morrison, if they have questions. We are going to have the juried show as well. That's for people who have won a lot of ribbons in the past. They want to stop competing, but they still want to show. But they need to contact us, and they need to submit those photos to the executive board of the photo club.
That's right.
Right, not just turn them in.
That jury means being pre-approved,
Right.
and so that process would have to occur before they are able to be displayed.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for all your organizational work, and I know you have a lot of work ahead.
Busy time coming up.
But it's going to be fun. Yes. All right. So if you have any questions, give either one of us a call, or look in Shell Point Life. There's an article about it, and go to the service desk for the correct forms. Be sure and read all the rules. There are always people that we have to call because they just didn't pay attention to the rules, or they didn't fill in all the information. So make sure those forms are filled in accurately.
One of our most celebrated Shell Point photographers is Sally Rich, whose images of nature are simply amazing. Sally's collection of great blue herons has been displayed at some prestigious locations around Southwest Florida. And now you have the opportunity to view these beautiful photographs in our brand new gallery at the Shell Point Photo Studio.
Hello, I'm Dottie Morrison, and I'm here with Sally Rich. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Dottie.
You know, we're here to talk about the fact that we are privileged to have you come and talk to our photo club Thursday, February 5th at 2:15 in the Social Center. And we're especially pleased that you are letting us display your wonderful great blue heron photographs in our new photo gallery. And you're going to be telling us all about that. So I'm so excited because this great blue heron series of the courtship of the great blue heron, it's actually been shown at Ding Darling in the past. And where else have you shown these wonderful photos?
Well, thank you. I had several shows there, and so I took them in, and they said, well, we'll just have a different category. It won't be a show, it'll be an educational exhibit.
Okay.
Which it really is, because the period covered is from the arrival of the male at his nest through the end of egg laying by the female. And that's a period that's least documented. So, and the pictures were so fortunate in that there's no obstruction, no leaves or branches in front of the birds, and the sun comes up right out of Pine Island Sound and shines right that warm, soft, early light on the birds. So, you know, the pictures turned out as I had hoped they would. So they said, well, you know, we'll show them. So we I hung them, and there were 30 images, and they were well received. And then somebody had the idea that to have someone video me talking about them there, and then to go outside and to take pictures of my taking similar shots. So that's in the video, and this video movie, it's really a movie that I'll be showing at Shell Point.
Now, the other thing that I'm very excited about is that at our club meeting, you're going to be talking about how you did this, about the equipment you used. You're going to bring some of your equipment. So as photographers, that's going to be very exciting because we all learn from each other. And now you had this unique experience because you got a special invitation to be where these birds were, correct? Tell me a little bit about that invitation.
Well, I had a show on Captiva, and the reception was in the evening, and a couple came, and I knew them a little bit, but I didn't even know their names. I just knew I knew them. And they drew me aside and said, you know, we know of an active nest on Captiva with birds in their courtship behaviors, and we'd like for you to know about it and to take pictures. So that was a gift. They gave me the opportunity to see these. And I often felt when I was taking the pictures that I wasn't taking pictures, I was receiving them. They were a gift.
Well, I'm really excited that you're going to come and talk to the Photo Club about this, and we're going to invite anyone at Shell Point who wants to come. Normally our Photo Club meetings are for just members, but this is so special, and the fact that we get to hang your photos in our gallery, we're very, very excited, and so we want to let people know about that. So thanks for coming and talking about this.
Dottie, it's always nice to talk to you. It's so pleasant.
So we would like to invite everyone, 2:15 in the Social Center on Thursday, February 5th. We're going to have some refreshments. You're going to hear Sally talk about some new things about this experience of taking pictures of the courtship behaviors of great blue herons. And then all month, you'll be able to visit the gallery on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 12 and from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And you can come by and see them up close and take your time.
Well, that wraps up another week on Shell Point Today. We're glad you joined us for our show. Tune in again next week for more news and stories from around your community. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for the weekend of February 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'm Dan Filgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday.